Hello everyone, I'm Suleiman from Autocrafter. Thanks for joining this channel again. Another week, another video, and this time I'm sketching this very beautiful street view which I have taken from Instagram. Let's see the process and relax and enjoy. This is the reference picture I have taken from Masnack. It is a Tokyo-based photographer. This picture is quite busy. Then these two cone-like window shades were quite attractive. This lamp post is also very attractive in this picture. One perspective on the right side, but we are not going to give more focus here, and you will notice it. One figure, which a person who is walking around with, there is a cycle, which is another element, very interesting element in this picture, and then this railing besides this footpath. So overall, the composition and the elements in this picture are quite interesting. So if you are a beginner, so you might think that this is very complex picture, but I will guide you, I will take you along with me to make it simple, and I hope you will enjoy it. Let's start. Okay, so I have plotted the dots. This is my working area, and I will just loosely connect these dots. And for this one, I'll just go slightly here, and it is slightly above than the next building, so I'm giving some perspective here, bringing it down, and since they both are connected at the same level, so I will bring it here, and that's it. So it has a nice facade, so let's keep this little shade on the top. Okay, one important thing, this is your sketch, this is your painting, so you don't need to follow the reference picture as it is. So you are enjoying this process, you are spending your time here, so keep it as per your pace, and you can take out as much the complex elements as you want. Okay, and then the nice element which this building has is the window. Actually, two windows. Yeah, I think this is fine. So let's try to find out the center of the window roughly. Add this bright orangish, yellowish side of the building here. Okay, so from the main reference picture, I am taking out the additional poles, and I'm moving this lamp post from the front of the windows to the right side, and I'm trying to utilize this building where we are not going to put our focus. Okay, then the other pole on the left, I'm going to keep it same. So we don't need to add more details here. We will add the details at the ink stage. Okay, so I'm gonna use the ink pen here, and I'll start with the things which are at the front of our painting or the sketch. So let's start with this pole. So keep it loose. You don't need to have a solid line here. Some broken lines, and maybe you can just have some wobbly lines as well, which is perfectly okay, and actually it gives nice character as well. Because some people, they think that urban sketching is difficult because it has too many elements and it's hard to follow, but it's not. And this is exactly what I'm trying to make these videos, to help you all who are interested in the urban sketching, that just follow your heart. The main shape of the I think the lamp shape in the reference picture is a little bit different, but that's okay. As you are the creator, use your imaginations. So maybe we can just add some interesting elements on the pole. Okay, and then now let's draw the cycle. You don't need to worry about the perfect circle. Using my imagination that this would be the pedal of the bike, and this would be something like the frame, and this was, I just gave us idea of a box on the bike, and it is not visible in the reference picture, but I have just added. And somewhere on the 2/3, it's the name of the building. Okay, so because we are standing somewhere here on the eye level, so we are looking at these window shade from here, like upward. So in that case, our circle would be in this angle. Okay, now it's time to add some colors, and meanwhile I have just erased the pencil lines, but still keeping some reference for the building at the back and the figure what we have, and rest of the lines I have erased. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm adding some water, this would be for our sky, little bit extra water. So let me get some French ultramarine. You don't need to do anything extra overwork here. For the wall, we are going to use burnt umber, French ultramarine, and a very diluted pigment. Before applying it, I will make the page wet. So I think I need to add a bit of yellow ochre as well. Yeah, this is the perfect color. You don't need to paint everything. Just keep some white spots so your painting would look airy and it should not have a tight feeling. Okay, so the first layer is almost dry now. So I'm going to use French ultramarine and a hint of Payne's Gray. So let's block some shadows here, and slightly I'm using the flat brush with lots of water, because if you use a dark color, then it will give you a streak, a very hard line, which won't give a nice impression. Some texture here and there, and maybe some more texture. I want to have some dark spots, some white spots. So now working on the other building, which I'm definitely not going to sketch, but giving a hint that there is a building at the background. So I'm trying to keep the strokes in the perspective. And I'm just wetting my brush. Actually, I should have wet this paper, but I missed it. It's okay. I tried to cover my mistake. And some darker shadows on the back. I'm mixing Payne's gray in the same color which I have used on the right side of the building, and this will give an impact that this is the darker side of Ellie. And if you can see that this side was already wet, so there is some impression of wet and wet color, which is perfectly fine. We are not touching anything. Now let's wait for this layer to dry before we start working on the other side. Okay, so this layer is dried now. Now I'm going to work on the shadows. So I still have some color left for this dark side which I used. So I'm going to use the same pigment, and I'll start with, because the light is coming from the left side, so the shadow of this corner would cast here. This was the calculated stroke which I didn't like. The shadow under this part, and it is extended actually to the right side and continue to the end here. And maybe I'll just give the hint that this wall is going to the back as well. Under the shade would be the darkest area, because this is the spot where light is not touching directly. Keep the stroke as per the lines you have. Okay, now using the same tone, I'll just add some shadow to the frame on this side as well. Now I'm going to use the same pigment on this side as of the lamp, and showing that this area is under the shadow, and also giving some cast iron look, making this base little bit darker and this side of the lamp, because it is away from the sunlight, and that's amazing. And maybe I'll take the lighter tone and just cast a shadow here. I'll use number 8 and get some alizarin red pigment, and going to apply it directly. Wow, this is quite brilliant red. Keeping some areas untouched. Actually, I have used everything. It's okay. I'm gonna pick up some red color from here, and as I tell you usually, that if you have made any mistake, that's okay. So you always come back and fix it. Okay, so I still have this red pigment on my palette. I'm gonna use the lemon yellow color. I have added in the red to make a yellowish color, which I'm going to use here. Keeping this area plain because I'm going to use black or Payne's gray. There. I have wet my brush and just picking up the color. So I have loosed the colors. So I've just applied water here, and now I have dried my brush, and I'm gonna pick some color so that the page should breathe. Currently it seems that everything has been painted. which I don't want. And then rest of, if I want more white area, so I just dab my tissue and pick up the color. I think I'm using a bit darker shade, but it's okay. This is, by the way, burnt umber. I'm going to pick the same color which I used on the top. The next color is still wet. If we touch that color, it will give a nice variation, and that is totally okay. Okay, so I think our awning is done. Next, I'm going to use some French ultramarine with a hint of Payne's gray to have some darker color. So I'm keeping some area on the left and right white. I'm gonna use some Payne's gray, and this time my brush is slightly damp and keeping it the darkest tone of the Payne's gray as I could. And now I will wait until this layer is dried. Okay, now the previous layer has already been dried. I'm going to add more shadows here, and this time the stronger colors. So trying to start with the same color, same shadow which I used in the previous one, and trying to do it quickly so that the page would not get the hard streaks here. Now making the the back of the street a little bit darker and pushing it in the background. A little bit of the darker shade here. Okay, since this is a cone and it is already in the round, so this side of the cone definitely would have shed or the shadow. So we are casting this here. Similar on this side. Okay, so now giving some dark shadows here for the entrance of the shop. Using the same dark shadow on the right side of this pole a little bit, not doing some overworking here. And just to make some different shapes here which we can see in the background, keeping some spaces blank, some areas dark. Okay, that's good. Now time to add the figure here. So I'll start with the head of the person, and just to give some very interesting color here, I'll add the body in the yellow and the French ultramarine for the bottom, giving some texture on the awning and keeping the perspective straight. Some texture on the road. Okay, so this is the time to dry the layer. Okay, so the layer is now dried. We are going to add some elements on the pole and the other side of the picture. So for example, it has few clamps here and there, and this will add some interesting elements. So this is the time we add some details, and also to enhance the lines which have already been weakened while we were adding some colors. Some little bit hatching or the shadowing here. Adding more contact here on the floor, maybe the shoe of the person, little bit detail here and there. An interesting point is to add some cables going from here and there. So this is somehow, so I'm just adding some interesting elements. So to add the text, I'm going to use this jelly roll 10 number, and I will just slightly add the frame so it will make the text popped up. So I'm going to write the text here. Okay, so to add some character into the window, I'm going to use Winsor blue to add it slightly on the window. While I was making some changes in the drawing, in the painting, I just noticed that my iPad storage was full, and somehow some of the things, the steps which I have done, these are not captured. I'm sorry for that. So I'll just give you a quick idea that what exactly happened. So I just added a little bit darker shadow here, and also some darker shadow on this side to push the background and bring the forefront towards our side. And I think this was the only thing which I have missed out. Maybe I have added some shadows here and there, and there is no big change so far. I'm going to use a very diluted grayish tone to give some texture. Contact on the road and the footpath is important. Shadow for this person, and then fixing this shadow of this pole. Maybe I'll just bring it here, and then darkening some tones here and there, and then a very slightly to give some texture. Okay, so the final few touches to add some character here, some directional view. Okay, maybe something here, like just trying to fix this side. And I have just noticed that little bit some darker tone here to enhance the shadow here. Maybe some stronger shadow casting just on this side of the painting, sorry, window. Adding some more dark shadow to push this shadow a little bit behind. And that completes our painting. I hope you enjoyed this sketch as much as I did creating it. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your art-loving friends. See you next Saturday with another watercolor story. Thanks for watching and happy sketching.